How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about The Guild 3. So this is a game that I've been looking forward to for over a year now, because I picked up The Guild 2, I would say probably about 16 months ago. And I was playing it and I really liked it. And I thought, well, The Guild 3 will be coming out, it'll be modern, it's going to be great, they're going to be improving on what came before. Not really. So this is The Guild 3. It's currently in early access. It's on Steam in early access, and it's on GOG in early access, or whatever GOG's equivalent of that is. This is the GOG version of the game, and it is getting updates regularly yet, but there are problems with the game. I'm going to be going over a bit how it works, but I have to warn you that I didn't get very far in the game because the overwhelming number of problems that I encountered simply discouraged me to the point where I didn't want to play it anymore. So to get started with, I think this is worth pointing out. When I start the game, sometimes my monitor will go out of range for it. It's very rare that I've seen my monitor go out of range, but something about this game causes that. And the problem is there really aren't any options here. Like there's resolution. It's 1920 by 1080. That's the resolution of my monitor. What's causing it to go out of range? I have no idea. So that's really, really weird. Most of the time it will resolve itself and it'll actually display the game after it goes out of range briefly. But one time it didn't. And basically the monitor that it's playing on, the only way I was able to get control of it back was by quitting it, by looking at what was going on in OBS. So OBS was able to capture the game. It was able to display the game in a little preview on my second monitor. But on my main monitor, it just said it was out of range. It's very rare for that to happen with games. But apparently Guild 3 was one of them. And it's a standard 1080p monitor. It's not like some high, like 2K, 4K monitor, nothing like that. It's just a standard 1080p monitor. It's really weird. 1080p 60. That's what we got here. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's take a look at some stuff. Okay, here we have the options. Now, the first thing that will probably strike you about the game is this menu looks like it could come out of a game from 1997, right? This doesn't look like 2017, right? There is a certain aesthetic that a lot of developers go for in 2017. It's generally clean and minimalist kind of information that's presented to the player. Instead of this stuff, like, where to even begin here? First off, it doesn't scale to the size of the monitor. It looks really janky inside this box. It looks like it's bound to it very poorly. Look, you got all this space up here, while another size of space to both sides, and a tiny bit of space on the bottom. It's not even aligned to it right. But, you know, okay, it's early access, sure. So the first thing I wanted to do, I needed to turn the volume down a little bit, right? But you got these nice plus and minus buttons. Here, surely that work. No, that doesn't work either. Wow, look at that. So those buttons don't work at all. There's no point in clicking on them. They don't work. Okay, so let's use the slider. Let's adjust the music by dragging the slide. No, we can't do that either. Here's how you have to adjust the music. You have to click where you want it to adjust to. And I know you'll say, it's in early access. Sure, okay. I'm just saying, this is a foreshadowing of things to come. So let's start a new single player game. Apparently there's going to be multiplayer, but it's obviously not in it yet. So we start a new single player game. Click new. There are 3 different maps currently available as of this recording. And the menus are much the same. I mean, the entire style of the game is at least a bit consistent. I'm just saying it's an outdated style, that's all. Maybe they're looking to evoke some sort of nostalgia among their users, but the problem is, I have the Guild 2. If I wanted it to look like this, if I wanted it to look like a game that came out in 2004 or whatever, I have the Guild 2 for that. I don't need the Guild 3. But anyway, you got your difficulty mode. At least this drop-down menu works, huh? And there really isn't much distinction between Poor Fellow and Career mode. You'll notice this quite a bit. There's a lot of information missing to describe what things do. And once again, the interface follows a standard that was set back in 2003 or something. But let's select the City of London, and we'll continue on. So here we have our character. We can't actually move the camera here at all. Okay, we can move the model a little bit. You can choose, obviously, first name, family name, gender, the voices.
Do you want me to send over my 6-year-old nephew to teach you coming out of the brothel yesterday? I'm sure he can teach you a thing or two.
Which sounds like it used some sort of text-to-speech. It does not sound like a voice actor. It sounds like text-to-speech, which is kind of hilarious. But anyway, you got some options here for the kind of campaign we want to play. I guess it's free game is like a sandbox where there are no set objectives. And then we have our abilities, of course. Versus the Guild 2, it seems like we have fewer options here. And look where they, like the pop-up for this, you can't get any additional information. So like if you hover over food preparation, yeah, we want to specialize in food preparation. Okay, we see a little bag, a little bowl, and the little spoon inside like some milk or some cream. Let's go ahead. No, we can't actually find out more information about that. There are no tool tips for it. Like if you hold down the right mouse button, which actually enables tool tips for a lot of stuff, like right here. If I want to see tool tips for strength, I have to hold down the right mouse button. That doesn't work for the different classes here. You basically just have to choose one blindly. But once again, these are things that can be ironed out with enough, hey look, the plus and minus buttons finally work, I guess. But like I was saying, this is stuff that can be ironed out with time. It's more of a quality of life thing than anything else. But as I said before, it foreshadows things to come. So if you think the game has frozen, you would not be... Okay, here we go. You would not be blamed for thinking the game has frozen because it takes a long time to load this stuff. And here is some information about finding yourself a spouse as soon as possible, which is interesting because the new experience system that is in the game does not make that very easy. I read a little bit on the forums about how exactly we're supposed to ever get married in this game. It does not sound like you can do it at the beginning of the game, which to me doesn't make any sense. Like, they make you really... Here we go. Start of the game. Yes. You'll notice the text is not inside the box, so we can't read it all. And we're just zooming over stuff randomly, right through trees like that. I can't control the camera. The camera has been commandeered from me. And, they just really want you to watch this every single time. The great thing is every time the game is updated, they suggest you start a new game, so you get to enjoy this cutscene every single time like that. You can't skip it. It's ridiculous. And then here's a very brief tutorial. When I say very brief, it basically tells you how to craft stuff and how to sell it to the market, and that's it. Okay, so here we have a problem. I can't even see my character. Here, she's somewhere around here. There we go. So my house is stuck in between a couple of trees, which is going to make it painful to select. So let's talk about the graphics, for example. I mean, I suppose it looks a little bit better than the Guild 2, but only very barely. Everything looks so fuzzy. If you look at these trees, it's not the fact that this video has been highly compressed by Google's servers. It's the fact that everything looks muddy. The ground looks muddy. The trees especially look muddy. The distinction between the grass and everything else, very, very low textures, I guess. And it's a trivial thing to complain about. I know that. The problem is, I don't personally see it being much of an improvement visually over the Guild 2, which would be one of the reasons I would want to play the Guild 3. But you'll say people don't play the Guild for the graphics, right? They play it for the gameplay, and that's true. I'm just saying that's another strike against it. I don't know if they can improve these models. Like, is this what it's actually going to look like at the end of the day? Because to me, it looks pretty bad. I don't know how to exactly, I can't put a finger on it. What exactly is off about this game visually? But it's lacking the stuff you see in all the promotional trailers for it. It's like there's no real dynamic lighting or something. The buildings, I mean, there's a little bit of animation for smoke there. But I don't know. The buildings look nothing like they do in the promotion, I guess. I don't know. Why do they look so fake? There's just something about them being in this environment that looks very fake. Okay, enough of that. Here we have our market, right? We want to go to the market to get goods. So you click on the market. I guess that's, I don't know, she can't make up her mind. How do you select the market? Well, you can select your character and you can select go to market. There's a button for it. Here we have, once again, a very obtuse and ill-explained system to control your characters. Look at that tooltip, and pops up underneath this screen. Like there's something that's popping up back there. I'm not sure if you can see it, but we can't read it. One of the things that I've found very difficult about this game is when we come to transport things. Let's say I want to buy some barley. Okay, I click on the barley one time, right? By default, it selects nothing. So you click on it, nothing. In what world does it make sense to select nothing? I could understand, okay, one click selects as much as possible. One click just selects one. There is no practical use case for selecting nothing when you click on something. So instead you have to click that, and you have to click the one button. Ooh, we got our one barley. Now imagine we have to do this in mass. Okay, click the 5 button. Great, there we go. One thing you'll find out later is that the game can be very, very particular about how many it allows you to carry, or how you go about unloading it. Okay, grab our character, send them back home. You'll notice that even though it's a female character, we have a guy's voice attached to it, which I don't think was intended, but I could be mistaken. So we're going back home. We're taking our goods from the market, running them back to our cottage, and we'll be turning them into processed food goods. And this entire trip, I guess we just got unlucky with where our house was. It's way over there. Takes a long time to get back home. And then here we have our production menus. And I'm just gonna point it out. To me, this layout is very outdated. Everything about this, it could have come from a game in 1997. You wouldn't know the difference, I don't think. Okay, so we have several different production types. We can make grain pap. We can make wheat flour. Let's just select grain pap, and she'll start grinding the grain or whatever. And you'll notice that as this happens, as she crafts the grain, she'll gain experience. And experience is pretty much how you level up in this game. How you act, how you become a bigger player on the village stage. So that's the tutorial butting in again. Yeah, so I was going to talk about this when it comes to unloading stuff. Now, they suggest you double click, and sometimes this works, but I was streaming the game and most of the time it didn't. Most of the time, to unload stuff, you have to go by one, like this. Or, of course, you could click the unload all button, which I favor. But I mean, if you actually want to load stuff, you still have to do it bit by bit, because you can't. Wait, what was that? Maybe you can press a key after all. That's the really funny thing. They talk about hotkeys in the game. There is nowhere you can actually see all of them that I could find. So here, 2, 3. Let's try just doing it all of it. Nope. See, look, I have 3 of these. I'm trying to put them in an empty slot. I'm clicking like a madman. I have to do it one by one. And I mean, this is the kind of stuff that discouraged me from playing it anymore, is because it's so tedious doing it that way. Okay, what is this? I see a warning icon up here. What does that mean? I don't know. And I think it's worth saying, I wasn't a huge Guild player. It's not like I came from Guild 2 with 50, 100 hours under my belt, but I played it for about, I would say, a total of 15 hours, both games. The Guild 2 Renaissance and just plain old vanilla Guild 2. I'd say about 15 hours. So I have a general feeling about how the game should work. And none of the improvements that I was looking for are seen here. So far, what I'm seeing is the exact same formula, minus maybe the experience bit, and no innovations. The user interface looks the same. The graphics look almost the same, right? The game, if anything, is slower. It's slower paced. When you first started in the Guild 2 Renaissance, for example, you'd be given the opportunity to immediately start a family. You could buy buildings. In this one, if you go ahead and you take a look at the menu and let's look for buildings. Oh, look, no buildings are for sale. We actually have to wait until we reach a level where we can build our own building. And the options are extremely limited because of the skill book. So like right here is the skill tree. This is new, okay? So we talk about things that we want to see new in the game, right? Here's the skill tree. And you're locked out of everything until you actually reach these levels. And it's a slog to get there. To get enough experience, I was playing it for an hour and I only moved up one level. And I was crafting, I would say, about 3/4 of that time. I'm not sure what other actions you can perform to acquire experience. Crafting seemed to be the most obvious one, but it is so tedious. It's an hour of just crafting before you get one more level, and you need those levels to build buildings, and I think even get married, you have to get to a certain level. In the Guild 2, you could simply acquire enough gold, go to the town hall, and then pay to have your level upgraded. Here's another thing, like we talk about scrolling. When I touch the top of the screen, like if we're going to do side scrolling, right? It's so bad. If I'm up at the top of the screen, it won't scroll. If I'm right there, we finally found the perfect spot to scroll. Just a millimeter away from the actual top of the screen or whatever. So side scrolling is completely broken, but fortunately we can use WASD. Now, personally for me, it is 2017. I'm used to games, strategy games especially, that allow you to left click and drag to mouse around, right? Civilization 6, great game. They allow you to click and drag to move the map around. That is just, it seems very common for strategy games in 2017 to be able to do that, and this game doesn't have that. So in general, I know it's too bad that I haven't gotten further in this game. But I'm just saying, there's nothing that I see here that's compelling me to play it over the Guild 2. And I think the developers should seriously consider that. By the way, look at these really minuscule icons off to the side here. There's no way, even on a 1080p, I don't know what that would look like on a 4K monitor. On a 1080p monitor, I can't tell what these icons are. They're so ridiculously small. And I'm not saying you need a huge UI. Maybe just allow people to scale, but it's so disappointing because I was really looking forward to the Guild 3. Based off of the promotional material, it looked like it was going to be a beautiful game, and I was hoping that it would just really bring the franchise into the modern era of games or what have you. But this, no, it's not. I would much rather play the Guild 2, and it's a sad thing, and I know the game is still in early access, but this is tedious to play through. And if somebody's going to sell a game in the state, it's early access, it's fair critique to play it and say whether or not other people should be buying into it. And it might get better. I hope it does get better before it's actually fully released. But in its current state of early access, I wouldn't bother. If you're interested in the Guild 2, if you're interested in that whole dynasty-like economic building up of your family's business, go for the Guild 2. There's nothing here in the Guild 3 that hasn't been done much better in the Guild 2. Aside from maybe slightly better detailed buildings. I don't know. The Guild has never had very advanced graphics. Now, I will give them that these models do look more detailed. These are more detailed models. There's just something really funky about the shaders or something in this game that make everything look very fake the way it sits on the ground. I mean, that's really the best way I can describe it, as somebody who doesn't understand the technical aspect behind three-dimensional objects in a world. It looks like there are missing shaders or something, though, and that makes everything look really flat and dull. And the trees, it makes them look very fuzzy, very pixelated, when I think they should look a lot more crisp. Those are my first impressions of the Guild 3. I know I didn't. Usually I like to really explain a lot about how the game mechanics work, but I only got to a point where basically I was running from my home to the market, from my home to the market, just over and over again, just trying to sell goods to raise gold for what I don't know, because I really couldn't spend it on a whole lot. I eventually did buy a mill. Maybe I should actually load that game. Let's see if we can load it here without crashing. It would go into the category of hello. We can just take a look at some of the stuff that I did here. I wonder if it will crash. It might just crash, because I don't see anything happening. Yeah, but I did manage to build a mill. I recruited a second employee. That was a glitch fest as well, because I sent them off to be a transport. They were able to buy resources, but they were not able to transfer those resources they bought out of their own inventory and into the store's inventory. What else happened? Then I hired another. This time this employee was a dedicated transport, so they were. Oh, look, we actually have some success here. The second employee I hired was an actual transport, and I was able to move them back and forth. But when I wanted to set up an automated delivery route, the interface was just the worst thing that I've ever seen. The most unexplained, convoluted automated trade menu that I've encountered. And I remember thinking that Civilization 4 colonization was bad in terms of setting up trade routes. Okay, wow, it actually loaded. Apparently it's paused at the moment. Or not? Is the game broken? No, here we go. We got it unpaused. Okay, so here's the mill that I built. As you can see, it's currently winter. But like I mentioned before, this is an hour in, a little bit over an hour in. In terms of development, we look at the skill tree here. I'm one level ahead. That's all the progress that I've made for an hour of effort put in this game. We're not even halfway towards researching another technology that would give us access to more buildings. We have one building here. We have the one employee here with the very bad transfer system that makes it just almost impossible to add additional goods and take them to market. And then we just have a regular house. No significant progress has been made for the amount of effort that's been put into it. And it's winter, and even though it's winter, we can still buy stuff from here. They're apparently still making grain. So, at the end of the day, I'm sad to say it, but I don't think Guild 3 is for me. And at the moment anyway, I think that if you're interested in the Guild 3, just play the Guild 2. It's all you need, because I don't see any improvements here at all, aside from better detailed models, and that's marginal at best. And I hate to, if there's somebody running in place, stuck on a chair, I imagine, a stool. Yeah. Couple of people stuck on stools there. Looks good. Looks good. What else can I say about it? Oh, what a disappointment. But thank you very much for watching, as always, and I hope to see you next time.